Okay, there's another redo of my democracy video. Yeah, I still haven't got it down with the way I should get it down. Nice script, you know, have it all laid out and the rest of it. But I will add some graphics this time. So let's first just talk real quick on the subject of instant runoff voting. I mean, simple fix. Again, reiterate, people could vote for third parties, candidates without throwing their vote away, make a huge difference in presidential elections. You know, open the field wide open. It would encourage more people to run, all kinds of viewpoints. You know, can't do anything but make it a better system, better debates, more compelling. I mean, look these asshole candidates now are even any of them doing YouTube channels, any of them really confronting people and real questions all the time. I mean, if I was running for president, I would have the guts to do that. Yeah, I could do it, 10 hours a day. Okay, challenge me. Let's talk about it. They could do it all day. They could be answering questions all day instead of going to campaign events for 500 people or 100,000, whatever, collect $100,000, go collect some more money. They could be on here for fucking free, telling their story, why they have a better idea. But I am doing that? No. Because they're full of shit, and because they can't answer anything. It's a sound bite or nothing. I mean, they want control over the content. And we saw that, when they've done these interviews, and it always takes them a day to release the interview. And you're saying, well, what the hell? Why does it take a day? How much are they editing it? But anyway, enough of that crap. Get on with the democracy thing. So yeah, here's a graphic. Okay, not a very good graphic, but it's a graphic. And so the idea is that, yeah, for basically what we are, people are either left or right. Okay, let's just say there is this arbitrary line. There's people either going to fall on one side of the line or the other side of the line. And there's basically a balance, in the population, generally speaking, on either side of this arbitrary line. And so, yeah, the two-party system basically says that, you're voting in a district, and it's either going to be one party's going to steal your vote, or the other party's going to, or you're going to win the vote and you're going to steal the other guy's vote. I mean, so if it's a narrowly Democratic district, all the Republicans lose their right to representation because they basically have their Adolf Hitler as their representative. And if it goes the other way, it's just the same thing for the other side. And there's no winning, and your candidate usually isn't what you want anyway. He's just lesser of an evil. He's lesser of this either blue or red evil, and that's all you've got a choice of. And he might not represent half the shit you care about, and it's just because he isn't as bad as the other guy is the reason why you're going to vote for him. And it's a lousy choice. And so if we got rid of the geographic districts, so now we should be like on another graphic, add a little guy there just to make it 3 dots worth. So yeah, you could have an election and your representatives wouldn't be from the two parties anymore, and people in different regions could vote for what they cared about. Their ideology would get represented, and so then you would have representatives that were issue oriented, not representatives that were just owned by a political party and the special interest that owns them. Instead, I don't want the teachers union to have any effect at all on my politician. I don't want him to be placating them one friggin' bit. And I don't want him, by the same token, I don't want him owned by the goddamn business either. All right, I want him to give me a list of his priorities, what he would do in certain circumstances, explain the difference between, yes, I'm first and foremost going to balance the budget, but at the same time, I'm not going to throw poor people on the street, or whatever the analogy would be. But yeah, he's got to make me, I can vote for somebody I think has my understanding of reality and is going to vote my mind. And instead of having it compromised to pieces. And so I guess we'll get rid of the graphic now that I sort of made the point. Did you see the point there, though? It's like, but anyway, I guess it's up there or something. Yeah, I mean, we're not where we live. We are what we believe. We're our beliefs. And from every individual, we all have different beliefs. And we should be able to vote for somebody that's the most like us as possible. That should be what our representative look like. Our representative should look like us, should talk like us, should think like us. And we shouldn't have our, I mean, it's bad enough we don't even get that. But it's even worse that we get a representative, or a guy who says he's our representative, who's completely the opposite on everything, you know, on every fucking issue he's wrong. And that's the real obscenity. I mean, we can have a democracy for legislative bodies, that is the Senates and the Congresses and your state Senates and legislatures, that can, you know, reflect the people, and where every single person wins the election, essentially, and for those legislative bodies, because they're not voting, you know, for a trade-off. They're voting for a representative. They're saying, this is who I want to represent me. This is the ideology I want represented. And they really can't lose. There's no possibility that their vote would go to something that is the antithesis of what they believe in. I mean, at worst, it might be not perfect. It might be only 50%. But it will never be exactly the fucking opposite. Somebody who's exact Adolf Hitler will never be able to say to you, I'm your representative. And that would be a great improvement. Like I said, and everybody wins a legislative vote. I mean, who wouldn't be encouraged to vote in such an election system? We could get, you know, 90% participation in elections. People could give a damn again. And we could have people talking. They'd be forced to talk about real issues, because they're going to have to get your vote. They're going to have to convince you that they're better than somebody else. They're better than everybody else. You know, not just one other guy. And they're not going to be able to sabotage that guy by saying, oh, well, he got a blowjob in the hallway, or he did this, or he did that, or he cheated on his wife, or some other bullshit where they sabotage the other guy with some personal crap and win the election, you know, where they just walk in through the back door. No more of that crap. No more regional pork. You know, no more, you know, you got a fucking military base in your district. They friggin' own your representative. You're never even going to have a chance to have representation, because that voting block is going to take you right out of the business. You know, no more of the you know, bringing the money home to the district crap. So no more pork. All over, it's gone. No more liars, really, because like I said, there's no chance for these marginal candidates, these candidates where you're voting for the lesser of evil. There's no more chance for them to be elected anymore. So you'll be able to pick somebody you have real confidence in, somebody who makes a compelling argument. And for you Ron Paul idiots, I mean, I think if you had heard other libertarians, maybe you'd vote for one that was a little better than him. I mean, it would be a sad fact if you know, because he is a liar. And it would be too bad that you think he's worth representing you, but whatever. But that's what would be in the Congress. It'd be all kinds of people. It'd be, you know, as far right as you can get and as far left as you can get, and everything in between. And that's what the Congress should look like. The Congress should look like fucking America. Every legislative body should look like the people it represents. And the compromise should happen after they get there, not before they get there. All right, so I went over the stealing of the representation. Got a couple minutes left. Wow. And yeah, we just get rid of this two-party ownership. Like I said, you know, that's the two parties dilute all the issues before you, like I said, before they even get to the legislative body. They've already been compromised by the two parties. The two parties are owned. You know, those candidates are owned by the special interest. They're owned by the money, and they're owned by the voting blocks. And so if you break free of that, you know, crap, you know, it'd make a huge difference, because these people, like I said, they won't be owned by people who have a special interest. And so they're not going to compromise your interest. They're not going to lie to you anymore. And that's the other part of this whole thing, is they're going to have to deliver. They're not going to be able to just, you know, give you half of what they said they were going to do, come back and still get reelected because you still don't want to vote for Adolf Hitler. I mean, they're just not going to have the capacity to run against a lesser candidate or some inexperienced buffoon or some other bullshit. They're going to have to always come back to you running against the whole broad spectrum of choice of anybody on earth, theoretically. So they're still going to have to fight to prove themselves. And there's just going to be no way to backdoor your way into office, because you're going to have to earn people's votes. You're going to have to get every constituent. You're going to have to get, if it's 500,000, you're going to have to get you're going to have to get all 500,000. You're not going to be able to go in some district and get 20% of the vote, and you know, of the of the actual number of people, you know, to come out and vote for you. and end up stealing, another 20% or 19%, just stealing their vote altogether, just stealing their right to representation altogether. No more of that cheating. So yeah, what else can I say? It's obvious. I won't say it's obvious because no one ever talks about it, but it's the fix. It's the solution, and it's simple. We have the technology now. I mean, the other great advantage is people can choose to make their vote public, in the sense that not that it would be public, accessible to anybody, but it would be public in that your representative would know who you were, and you would know who he was, and there'd be an accounting of your vote, so there'd be a much more security in voting.